All right, this is the chapter review or the study guide for the Systems of Equations and Inequalities test that you're going to be taking in a few days. If you pay attention to this, you should be able to do everything on the test pretty easily. So on the first part, you need to tell whether the ordered pair is a solution. Well, they tell you an x and a y. You need to plug it into both the top and the bottom equations, and it's got to satisfy both conditions. So on this top one, you take the x and take the 2 and plug it in for x, 6 and plug it in for y, and you end up getting 8 equals 8. That works. Here you plug in 2 for x, 6 for y, you get 6 minus 6, or 0 equals 0. That works. So that one would be a yes, it is a solution. On number 2, my x value is 8 and my y value is 2. You plug that into the top one, 8 minus 2 is 6. You plug it into the bottom one, 2 times 8 minus 10 times 2, you get 16 minus 20, which that is negative 4, not positive 4. So that is a no. On the next one, the last one, your x value is negative 1, your y is 3. You plug it in. It looks like it works for the top one because 7 minus 4 is 3. But negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. So that one doesn't work. That one will be a no as well. All right. The next one, we want to solve that by graphing. What's nice is that is already in slope-intercept form for you. So my y-intercept is 7. I put a dot at 7. My slope is negative 1. I go down 1, right 1. I can do that a couple times. Draw my line. For the bottom equation, my y-intercept is 1. Put a dot at 1. My slope is 1 as well. Up 1, right 1. Rise over run. Draw my line, and it looks like it is crossing at 3, 4. On number 5, what I did was I put those into slope-intercept form because they weren't already in slope-intercept form. So 9x plus 3y equals negative 3. Subtract 9x, divide by 3. My y-intercept is negative 1. My slope is negative 3, so I go down 3, right 1. I'm going to do that a couple times. Draw my line. And then do the same thing over here. My y-intercept, oops, I need to put it in slope-intercept form first. Subtract 2x from both sides, divide by negative 1. My y-intercept is 4, and my slope is 2. So I go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. And now I'm going to draw my line. And it looks like it is crossing at negative 1, 2. So I left 1, up 2. All right, substitution. On that one, both of the y's are set equal. I'm going to set both y's equal to each other, I'm sorry, because they're both solved for. That means that they're equivalent. They're equal to each other. So I set them equal to each other. I subtracted 6x divided by negative 9 and got x equals 1. I took that and I plugged it back into the bottom equation and got y equals negative 3. So my solution is 1, negative 3. On the second one, the x is solved for, so I took that and I substituted it in where there was an x. So 3 times 16 minus 4y plus 4y, distribute. Then my y's are on the same side of the equal sign, So those need to be combined. Subtract 48 from both sides. Divide by -8. I went and then I plugged that back into the top equation to get my x value. I got -4, 5. Number 8, we're going to do that with elimination. For elimination, you need to have opposite coefficients, same number with different signs. I already have them right here, +6, -6. If I add them together, that becomes 0, so I'm going to cross them off. 5x plus x is 6x. 50 plus -26 is 24. Divide by 6, and I get x equals 4. That's half of my answer. I need to now know my y. I plugged it in to the bottom equation, subtracted 4 from both sides. That's where that -30 comes from. And then divide by -6. And I got y equals 5. For number 9, I needed to create opposite coefficients. So what I did was I multiplied the bottom one by -2. Because I have an 8 here, the opposite of 8 is -8. If I multiply this 4 by -2, it creates a -8. So my x's cancel. -5 plus 6 is 1y. 11 plus -10 is 1. So my y value is 1. I need to solve for x. I chose the bottom equation and got x equals 2. And that is going to be my answer there. On 10, you have to do it 3 ways. The first one is graphing, and I think we'd had the same problem actually on our other review, so this one should look very familiar. This one goes a little bit off the graph, and they cross at 12:7. On this one, I solved for that x right here first, so I got x equals -2y minus 2. Subtracted 2y from both sides, and then I plugged it in to the bottom equation. Solve it, and I got 12, -7. I might have forgotten my negative sign over on that first graphing one. For substitution, I created opposite coefficients. I have a +2 here. I need a -2. So if I multiply that top one by -2, that'll work. And I got the same answer. If you don't get the same answer on all 3 of them, you've done something incorrect. All right, on number 11, I'm going to set the problem up. I think this is actually one that we did in class, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with it. S is the number of senior, C is the number of children. For the number 12, S is the number of small boxes, L is the number of large boxes. On 13, I just set it up again. I let C be the acres of corn and W be the acres of wheat. There's 180 acres total, and the corn is 3 times as much as the wheat. On number 14, I used elimination. I multiplied that top one by -2. And I ended up canceling everything out, so that's going to be infinitely many solutions because 0 does equal 0. On 15, I used substitution, and I end up with my x's canceling out and get 6 equals 4. Well, that's not true, so that's going to be a no solution. On number 16, I put that bottom one into slope-intercept form, so I just subtracted x from both sides. Let's go ahead and do the top one, and we'll do the top one in black. So my y-intercept is 4. My slope is -1. That's going to be a solid line. And that's a greater than, so I shade up. We'll do the next one in red. There. My y-intercept is 0. My slope is -1. That's going to be a solid line as well. And that's a less than, so I shade lower. I go below the line, I shade it downward. Well, if you notice, neither one of these overlap, so that would be a no solution. On number 17, let's do the top one in red. My y-intercept is -3. My slope is 2. Up 2, right 1. And that's going to be a dotted line. And it's greater than, so I'm shading above the line. I'm going up. Let's do the next one in black. My y-intercept is 1. My slope is 1/2, so up 1, right 2. And that would be a solid line. And that is also a greater than. So I'm going to go just shade above. And then where they overlap is what I'm going to make really dark. And this is where they overlap. On number 18, I went ahead and I put those into slope-intercept form. I just added 2x to both sides. And on the bottom one, I subtracted 2x to both sides. So let's do this top one in black. My y-intercept is 4. Oops. Being counted incorrectly. 1, 2, 3, 4. My slope is 2. It would be up 2, right 1. But it gets a little bit off the graph. So on that one, I'm going to go down 2, left 1. And that would be a dotted line. Sorry, the line's not very well drawn there. And that's a less than. So I would be shading lower, below the graph, or below the line. Let's do the next one in red. My y-intercept again is 4. My slope on that one is -2, so I'm going to go down 2, right 1. And that's going to be a dotted line. And on that one, it's a greater than, so I'm shading up. And I'm sorry that this looks a little bit messy. It's almost easier to do it with a pencil, the light shading. And it looks like where it overlaps is right here. On 19, you had to tell whether or not it's a solution. Well, 3,1 is right there. It's on the line, but that's a dotted line, so that means that the line is not part of the solution. It would only be part of the solution if it was solid. Whoops, that's awfully fat still. So that is no. 19B, well, that's dots in a shaded region, so that would be a yes. And 19C is not in a shaded region, so that would be a no. And on 20, we needed to come up with an equation Well, my y-intercept is -5, so b equals -5. My slope is up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. So my slope is 2. So all I need to do is figure out, do I have a greater than, less than? I know it's going to be one of those because it's dotted, so it's either have to be a greater than or a less than. If I had a solid, it would have the line underneath. Well, it looks like I'm shading above the line, so I'm thinking greater than. All right, good luck on your test.